actually live.
Yes, that's right. Let me just plug in the description here.
Actually live.
Yes, that's right. Let me just plug in the description here. All right, everyone out there in YouTube land, we are live.
Okay.
Right on time. This is awesome. This is awesome. Right. How do you spell?
Okay. Are you ready? It's right there.
Is there an E at the end? Or no?
Yes.
There is an E at the end of his name?
Yeah. Are we up?
Almost. Okay, there we go. Last one.
Sport coats.
All right.
Are you ready to go live?
Yes, sir. You ready to record? Don't be cheap.
Welcome to The Funniest Thing,
Yes.
where each week we share stories about how stepping out boldly always leads to better than expected outcomes.
Thank heavens it does.
I'm Darrell,
I'm Ed.
and we're broadcasting live from middle school studios in beautiful downtown Culver City, the heart of
We
Screenland.
have a question for you today. What's our question for today, Darrell?
What are you saying to yourself about yourself?
That's right, with Reverend Gregory Barrett. This isn't just a passing thought, it is everything. Every word you say about yourself, whether out loud or silently in your mind, is like dropping a seed into the rich soil of your subconscious. Are you planting thoughts of faith, success, joy, and opportunity, or unknowingly sowing seeds of fear and frustration? Every thought has a consequence. Every word shapes your future. We all need a friendly retelling of our lives. On this episode, Darrell and Ed share the good news. You're in charge of your inner garden. You get to choose what you plant. When you choose to speak words of love, possibility, and courage, you're investing in your future harvest. And during the second segment, our guest, Reverend Gregory Barrett, shares how to keep imagining the best outcomes with today's reading, Sparks.
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 Now, are we going to kick things off? If you're watching and you like what we're sharing and you benefit in any way, please hit the like and subscribe button.
Yeah. You know, while we're talking about that, we got a great postcard from Kirky. And he says, be for giving.
And that's from Germany, folks.
All the way from Germany. And if you're on YouTube, you can see the postcard. We do broadcast live every Saturday, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern on YouTube if you want to join us. And he says, short and sweet, from courage to change. That's the name of the book. Courage is fear that has said its prayers. Amen. And he says, also, I heard this, short and sweet. Be for giving. Like be in favor of giving on your show. So thank you. Thank you, Kirky. If you want to send us anything, funniest thing, P.O. Box 1312, Culver City, California, 90232. Oh, Terry Benowar also
sent us an email, because you can email us too from our website, darrellanded.com.
Yeah, or darrellanded@gmail.com. And she says these two, well, we shared some books that we like to read. We talked about it on last week's show. She was asking us about if you could take a book with you on a desert island, what would it be? And we mentioned some like Game of Life by Florence Scovel Shinn, Celebrate Yourself by Eric Butterworth.
Emmett Fox,
Emmett
Ten
Fox.
Commandments.
Yeah, so, and she said, Darrell, with the amount of books you suggested, you'll have to wear pants with some big waterproof floating pockets.
That's true.
The funniest thing happened, a long story, which led me to visiting an amazing thrift store in Sacramento, Fly Brave, which is run by a mom who founded the Fly Brave Foundation, which supports and employs autistic adults. Ed, I immediately thought of you when I learned of the good works they do. She gave us their social media. She said, thanks to both of you for your experience, for the experiences you share and the lessons you so entertainingly teach. Your choice of guests is always top-notch. You are the go-to modern versions of Emmett, H. Emily, Katie, Eric Butterworth, and so many other great metaphysical teachers. Warm regards, Terry Benoit.
That's the best compliment ever.
And you're going to be really happy to have another visit with Reverend Gregory Barrett, because he is one of the teachers on this planet right now who lives it, shares it in profound ways. And every time we get to spend time or hear one of his talks, we listened to one of his talks this week, we get so much out of it because it's a living energy. And he has been sincerely studying and living and sharing it for quite a bit of time now. So it really comes out when he speaks. So, let's thank Chief Engineer Jeff Comfort. He's out in Kansas City, Kansas. He handles the audio engineering.
That's right. If you're listening to this
Yes.
on any of the podcast apps, you could thank Jeff Comfort.
Because each week,
He takes us
right into the comfort zone. If you want to support the show, you can go to patreon.com. That's patreon.com/funniest thing. And
keep this commercial free.
Yeah, contribute monthly, as little or as much as you like. But it's a great way, if you're benefiting from the show, to feel that great sense of circulation that comes from tithing and sharing our good with the people that inspire us. So,
well, it's a feeling of it's showing your feeling of appreciation, and it all comes back.
it really does. It really does. All right.
Are we going to do our 3 breaths?
Yes. I was listening to Reverend Ike on the way over here, and he was talking about the prodigal son story.
Yeah, he came to himself, which
He
means
came to himself.
his real self.
Yeah, and he, even in the story, he points out that he had this story that he was going to go back to God and say, I sinned.
Right.
And you know, like a very human three-dimensional prayer of like, please forgive me.
Beseeching.
Yeah, but before he could even do that, God rushed out to meet him and said, you are my son, and only saw the true Christ being, the truth of this person. And that's the truth of each one of us. And that when we tap into that divine consciousness, that's the beauty of it. We find out that all these fear-based thoughts they're not real, and they were never real, and they did nothing they don't diminish the truth of our being. That's why it's such a refreshing. Darrell and I talk about this. We get this when we go through periods where we're maybe buying into these false faces, as Reverend Ike was calling anything we believe, a lack or sickness, when we think that that's who we are, or unworthy. Those are false faces. But when we practice this stuff and we come back to realize who we are, Darrell and I say, we just kiss the ground. I love my life. I'm so glad, because your whole spirit, the truth of your being, that comes floating back in. A lot of the time when we think we have problems, it's just because I think I have a problem. It's because my spirit, my being is not actually flowing through my consciousness. I don't even know who I am in those moments. So it's good to come back to who we are and realize that there really is nothing to fear. So should we go ahead? Give it a go?
Wait, if you got a problem, God will solve it.
That's right.
And also, fearful faces, is that what you were calling them? False faces?
False faces,
That
yes.
was the original lyrics of that song that came out during Reverend Ike's time.
Which one?
Instead of smiling faces.
Fearful faces. That one? Fearful faces tell lies.
That's right.
They don't tell the truth. That's right. That's right. That's right. So the good news is, let's take a deep breath to clear our mind. That's perfect. There's nothing to fear. The real me is here.
There's nothing to fear. The real me is here.
There's nothing to fear. The real me is here.
Speaking of real me's,
Yes.
I got a couple of short things to read. We have just a few readings. We're doing a tight hour, folks.
Yes, and we have two good stories to share about how we applied this week, which is amazing.
Okay, I'm going to throw some great stuff at you. If you have a pen and paper, you might want to write these down. You ready, Ed?
Wait, well, let's
You
let
don't have to
our
write these
listeners
down.
get their pens and quill and their ink. Well, all right, let's go.
Okay. This was a great one sent to us from Reverend Michael Schoonover in Vista. Is it Unity? What's the title? I always forget the name of that church because it's not Vista Unity, although it's in Vista, California.
Right, let me look that up.
Well, we're going to look that up, but you can easily...
Unity Way Church.
Unity Way Church in Vista, California, and go to their website. And this is from Daily Word, August 15th, 1949, and it's so perfect for what may be going on in your head right now. No heart filled with faith in God's order and security lives in fear of economic and political change. No heart filled with faith in God's order and security lives in fear of economic and political change. And that makes me dive right in because I'm wait a minute, I don't want to not have a heart filled with faith. So how do I get back in that? And it's like the Emmett Fox short and sweet quote, which is, I can have my indignation or my demonstration. I can't have both. And it makes me want to jump right in and go, wait a minute, I want a heart filled with trust. Mm-hmm. So from another Daily Word that came out in 1928, I live in heaven here and now. On every hand, I see God's richest blessings, my blessings. And think of that as an attitude to go through your day. This is like a winning combination. You take that first one from the Daily Word, yes, and then combined with this. And then I found this in a book called 24 Hours a Day. This, by the way, I'm holding up my pad. I actually gave a workshop a while back on Create Your Best Life via journaling. And this is, if you're familiar with Marcus Aurelius, there's a book all men love to champion, women do too, called Meditations. And it's basically this great leader during the Roman Empire who was very well respected and loved, and was responsible for putting an end to the persecution of Christians prior to him even becoming an emperor. He was also one of the few and only emperors who was actually voted into power. So this is similar to what he did. We do. He made the book Meditations was basically his own writings for himself. And that's what Darrell and Ed always recommend that you do. So this one is the other one, and this was great because this goes great with this week's topic. Doubt poisons all action. Well, I just don't know. So you don't do anything. You should meet life with a yes, an affirmative attitude. There is good in the world, and we can follow that good. And then I wrote to myself, maybe it's time to substitute the word higher power with superpower. Because the word higher power, when that came into vogue back in the 30s or 20s, where a lot of these new thought people were trying to help people wrap their head around a new idea of the word God, so it wasn't carrying all the baggage, because it still carries, it's a small little word, God, but we carry a lot of different connotations with it, depending on how we're raised or where we're raised or what we learn in school. So it can be a mixed bag. So they came up, why don't just call it a higher power? And that felt supercharged to people. I'm trusting in my higher power.
Yes.
So, but that word's gotten kind of stale and taken on some connotations. It's popularized in 12-step groups. So I wrote to myself, maybe it's time to substitute the word higher power with superpower. And I wrote, by relying on my superpower, and think of that. You can imagine it being a superpower working through you.
I love that.
And I wrote, by relying on my superpower, I'm living in heaven now. And then I wrote, as I ... And then it was my list, my to-do list, best attempt at God's will for me. But just to let you know, today's topic, what are you saying to yourself about yourself?
Yes.
And this is something that we all got to be mindful of. And I got a great little story just to let you know that Darrell and Ed practice what we preach. We got Greg coming on soon. He's going to be sharing a story as well. And these real life current event stories hopefully motivate you to apply this in your life. So Monday, I, for some reason on my YouTube feed, military stuff came up. I guess because an Arlie Army, do you remember that guy? He played the Marine drill sergeant in
Full Metal Jacket.
Full Metal Jacket. So later on, I actually became friendly with him. Remember? And I had a
Yes, I remember that.
And I was in the Coast Guard. I was not a Marine. But as soon as this guy heard I was in the Coast Guard, he thought I was the greatest guy in the whole room. And there was Army, ex-Green Berets there, and Navy SEALs. And he gave a whole, he had me up in front of the room of everybody with his arm around me. He's going, you got to really, these guys earned my respect. And he started saying all this wonderful stuff. So he had passed away a few years ago.
That's amazing.
And I think because I looked in the past, at one of his videos.
Yeah.
That, they pop up again.
Right.
So once you click on that, or I clicked on one of his, and it brought back all these good feelings. And then a bunch of boot camp stuff from various military branches popped up on my feed. And I looked at the Coast Guard one, and afterwards I thought, oh my God, I could never do this. I was like, how the hell did I do that?
Yeah, the boot camp, yes.
I'm like, how the hell did I do that? I never gave myself credit for it. And that's not really the point of the story, so I'm going to jump ahead. So what happened is the next
morning.
But
it's funny because if you'll remember, it kind of is because
you
and I did have this talk about how giving yourself more credit for who you were at that time and how amazing that all was.
Yeah, because if you're just not familiar with Coast Guard boot camp, just put it in YouTube and you'll probably be mortified at how crazy it is. But what happened was during that boot camp time, I guess the drill sergeant saw I had some sort of compassion with the other guys. And so not only was I having to do everything required from boot camp, which is maximum stress, and they anoint you can't say no. So he made me the educational officer for our group.
Right.
So I had to help these other guys who had hearts of gold, but they just couldn't get the academic stuff.
Yeah.
So now I'm like stressed out about this. Plus I'm helping. I mean, one of the guys' nickname was Bulkhead, if that could give you an idea of what I was working with. Mm-hmm. I mean, these guys would save your life. They could muscle through anything, but it was just the academics that were getting in the way. So I was helping with them. Then I drew a funny cartoon of the drill instructor, but instead of getting in trouble, then he had me paint. This is all while I'm boot camping. So when other guys are getting to sleep early, I'm painting his office door with like a cartoon cartoon portrait of our company commander. That's what you call drill sergeants. So when I told drill sergeants in the Coast Guard are called company commanders, but I was telling Ed this the next day, and he goes, "See, you got to suck that in and appreciate that," which we never do. I never do. I never really look back because we don't really tell accurate stories about our past. At least I don't.
Yeah, especially if there was like something that we judge ourselves for at that time. We tend to miss so much of the
Yes.
other. And this is good. This is good we're bringing this up because that ties into
Yeah.
what this show is all about, because there's always going to be areas we're growing. But what is the story you're telling yourself about yourself? And I mean that for Darrell and I as well. So go on.
So the next morning, I was teasing Ed about something. I go, these are the first 2 phases of boot camp. And Ed goes, you should write a spiritual, elaborate on the 7 phases of boot camp as spiritual tools. And I said, that's a great idea. So I went home, and the 7 phases of boot camp really aren't like, they're just kind of like material and physical phases and, academics. It doesn't really translate well into spiritual tools. But then I go, wait a minute, the Coast Guard and all the services have core values. So I refamiliarized myself. Like, I can't, what were the core values? And there's 3 core values in the Coast Guard: honor, respect, and devotion to duty. So I wrote a quick article on how what I learned in the Coast Guard with these values spiritually transformed my life, and how the average civilian, they can apply to you as well. I met this captain, and we spoke about him in the Coast Guard several months ago during Fleet Week. We told this story. So I said, I'll send it to him.
Yeah, first Darrell showed it to me. I read it over. I was super inspired by it. It's something that anyone and everyone can benefit from. So we were on fire about it. So then Darrell decided to send it to the
this Coast Guard captain, who I've become recently friends with. So I fired it off to him on, was it Wednesday? Yeah, it must have been Wednesday or Tuesday. I did the article on Monday. I did the article. Yeah, I did the article on Monday. I fired it off to him on Tuesday because I had to ask for his email address. He sent it to me right away. And then I didn't hear anything for a couple of days. And that's when Darrell's mind starts making horror stories up, as Ed's mom refers to them. And this is what we're talking about. What are you saying to yourself about yourself? So I started thinking, he probably was insulted by it. I didn't really highlight the Coast. I was just telling myself, like, I didn't really highlight the Coast Guard enough. In it, I even say you don't have to join the Coast Guard to, adopt these core values. Oh, maybe that upset him. Then, was it yesterday? Yesterday, I kept putting it, like, turning it over, but then it would come back. Turning it over, and then it would come back. Like, I hope I didn't upset this guy. And I would do the reasoning. No, he's probably busy. This guy's got other things to do. Well, yesterday we brought it up again, and Ed said, I could just ask him, see if he got it. Because my mind thought maybe he didn't get it, because he's a fast responder. It was the first time I sent anything to his email. It could have went in spam. So I sent him a simple text, just wanted to check to see if you got it. I emailed it to you. Nothing. This is all day Friday. And I had a great day. But at the end of the day, when we're tired, I start to go to bed, and I started thinking, oh, no. Because in addition to these boot camp videos came these like gung-ho, like upset military guys pointing out examples of stolen valor. And at the bottom of this article, I mentioned that I was a recipient of the Army Commendation Medal, given to me, presented by the Secretary of the Army, which is a big deal. Because it's not just from your command or
it's huge.
So I thought, oh no, this is going to ruin everything. He probably got upset by the article, thinks this whole thing is just, I'm one of these weirdos with stolen valor. Like, I actually started, and I caught myself. I didn't go into a long story. I caught myself just starting with that, and I said, This is not thinking good. And remember, Emma Curtis Hopkins says, when you think of God, that's thinking good. That's all it means. God and good are synonymous. And you know how they say, think God's thoughts, trust in God. Well, I'm not trusting in good if I'm like my mind saw it. You're not trusting in good. Plus, because the topic of this week's show is what you plant is what you get, I immediately thought, okay, I don't want to get this garbage.
Right.
And I'm not trusting in good. Miraculously, it evaporated. And my mind clicked. This doesn't always happen this quickly. It does always happen, though, as long as I'm persistent. And it clicked over. Clicked into, that's not even a consideration to think that way anymore. And went to bed, woke up this morning, and guess what the first text was that I received? Yep, from the captain saying, first text was, let me go look for it, because I guess it did get buried or went to the spam folder. And then I found it, ! We'll read it today. I was swamped all week with my new job. Everything reasonable is what occurred. Yes. Everything unreasonable, that I was making up, the good thoughts that I was kind of trying to believe in were the truth, and they were good thoughts. And all the nonsense I was telling myself was 100% BS.
Yeah.
And this is the good news too, which helped me write something today. This is real quick, just a one sentencer. Today, because this is, we learn our lesson, and then you jot it down in your notes the next day. So it reinforces the truth. And I wrote, today I avoid manufacturing misery with my mind.
Yes.
Instead, I expect better things. I trust God has better things in store for me than before. I rely on my superpower and keep an expectant attitude toward life.
That's awesome.
So there you have it, folks. I fell on my sword. And
found out that the good is the only thing
that's real. You can't believe fearful faces.
That's right. As soon as you came back to your real self, the channel opened up.
It's amazing.
That's the amazing thing. That's why we're talking about when we practice our morning routine, and when we're tempted to freak out, go back and meditate, let go, because when our true self comes back through, we'll be so glad that we didn't spend any more time than necessary, which none of it's really necessary, but when there's a lot of momentum in our negative thinking, it can take, we got to be patient and loving with ourselves, and just do what we got to do to get back to the realization of who we really are. And, don't make this a big deal. Sometimes we think I have to make huge changes in my life. That's the voice of fear and lack actually saying, I got to make I think I'm going to do it this time. And it's we think we're going to, but actually by making it that big of a deal, it's actually reinforcing the idea that it has to be hard.
Yeah.
And there's going to be some lack. If you feel like you don't know what to do, try affirming. Just sit and affirm, I do know what to do. I know what to do. Because I did this yesterday, and there's been something things coming up, and it's been sucking my attention into this concern about overly concerned about myself, and my intuition's going, there's nothing wrong with you. Everything's good, Ed. And so I heard the voice to say, you do know what to do. So I just walked into the gym locker room to go to the sauna, and I just affirmed, I know what to do. I know what to do. And at first I was just kind of convincing myself. But soon as I sat down, I'd go, wait, I do know what to do. When I'm feeling good, I'm not sitting here worrying about myself. I'm blessing and loving everyone else because I know I'm good. I know God is flowing through me, and it's a knowing. It's not, and even now as I speak it, I know what to do. sometimes we have to remind ourselves, I know what to do, and dummy down. Like Gregory Barrett, we listened to one of his talks. And what was the saying? Go bozo.
Go bozo.
Yeah,
you gotta go full bozo.
He had someone tell him when he was going through like overthinking, because this is an Ed thing that I'm letting go of all the time. Overthinking. It turns out it's the same mind that generated the problem thinks now it's gonna think its way through it and solve it, but that's not how it is. Got to go bozo. Be simple enough to realize God already loves me. No matter what these voices are saying, everything is actually working itself out already, and I don't have to do anything. And that made me think, it changed my ideas to what do I need to happen, or what do I need to become? Like, because I've been playing more music and doing creative stuff, dancing and things, and part of me is going, this is going to be a long road. Eventually I'll be, and I don't want to go on a long road. But when I changed it to, well, what do I want to express more of? I want to express more joy.
Yeah.
I want to express more music. I want to express more lighthearted love for others.
Yes.
That feels so much easier. So we want to make this easier, not harder, because God works with ease in our lives. And I had a great story about something that happened. I had been telling, I'll just tell it in 1 minute.
Because you could tell it quickly.
I'll tell a quick one. And then we want to get Gregory in here.
No, because you're talking about dancing. This is a perfect story.
So I had all these little coincidences and things leading me back into tap dancing, which I did. And two things. I knew I did it through 4th through 6th grade. And I knew right when I had started performing, which was kind of getting uncomfortable because I was the only boy in it, and I had a lot of stage fright. And I had written this story that I gave up on it because I was scared, and I always kind of it was a dark spot. I didn't even remember a lot about it, except some more negative than positive. And I imagined I always would complain, why didn't my mom encourage me to keep going? Why did they just let me quit? And I was making it bad for everyone involved, and it was just really heavy story I had written about myself, my mom, my family. You thought as a victim.
Yes, you thought you gave up on it.
Yeah.
You quit, and
no one else
even encouraged you. No one else cared.
So it was a real sob story. But then the other day, I pulled out some tap shoes my wife got me 10 years ago, because I noticed lately when I'm feeling nervous, what I thought was just my feet moving nervously is actually I'll start doing some of the tap warm-up stuff that I used to do. And I was like, this isn't just nerves. This is me wanting to dance. So I started doing it more. I watched some basic videos on basics video on YouTube to get me back into the flow. And then my wife said, when did you tap dance? I said, I don't know, sometime 4th through 6th grade. And then I was like, well, I'll text my mother. And for some reason, that old story was nah, don't text her, blah, blah, blah.
She didn't encourage me.
But instead of listening to that, I texted her, and I found out something totally different happened. She was like, oh, you did it for 1 year in 5th grade. She said, you were really good at tap dancing. So what happened was, there was a younger woman who ran the tap studio. She had started this business, and she was amazing, and my mom loved her. And after a year, she couldn't support the business anymore, so the business closed down, and my mom went out of her way to try to find another tap studio in the area, but couldn't find it, and was like I said, she told me, you were such a great tap dancer, I really wanted you to continue. And so there's something so perfect with all the clearing of the past that I've been doing, to find out that even that story that I was holding in this little dark room inside me was not true.
Yeah.
The love was there all along. So you'll be surprised once you start just setting the intention to tell a new story. It can feel overwhelming at times because the old story kind of will push back a little, but just keep trusting, dumbing down. Listen to Funniest Thing with Darrell and Ed. Look up a Gregory Barrett talk. Listen, do whatever you got to do to just keep moving forward, and you will be delighted. All right, so coming up next, Reverend Gregory Barrett shares how to keep imagining the best outcomes with today's reading, which is Sparks. Is that a Joyce Kramer?
Yeah.
Yeah, which Reverend Gregory Barrett knew Joyce Kramer. So thank you for listening to Funniest Thing with Darrell and Ed, live from Middle School Studios in beautiful downtown Culver City, the heart of Screenland.
This is awesome. You gotta lift the wall. Lift under the big one.
All right. Do you need to use the restroom? Or
Yes.
all right. So Gregory, we're just going to take a quick bathroom break, and then we're going to bring in our guest, the amazing Reverend Gregory Barrett. When we say amazing, this is not, oh, hello, Susan Sly. We got to look at your script a little later. When we say amazing, it's sincere. The effect of this man's words, and you'll see how radiant and joyful he is, and I know you're going to feel the same way. Darrell is helping his wife open a gate right now. In case you're watching on YouTube, you saw Gidget, the studio hound. She's an Australian stubby tail, and she keeps us laughing and relaxed. Let's see, where's Gregory? Well, we got a minute here. Hey, everyone out there watching. I listened to a great Reverend Ike talk this morning. It's called, but I could find it. I could put it in the link on the YouTube. But I've been mentioning it about the false faces. It's such a good reminder. But he said, well, our problems arise when we start buying into other people's false faces as well. I notice this sometimes with my wife, because I want to, quote, help her, I'll start I'll forget that she's like me. She has her own worries and fears, but if I start trying to fix those instead of supporting her so that she remembers how loved and remembers her real self, then I start like inadvertently reinforcing those false faces. And Reverend Ike was saying, it's like, we get in these battles of false faces with ourselves and others, and the best thing we could do is remember our true face, and then remember the true faces of our friends and family, and even the people we don't like. Remember, their true face is the Christ, and that's the best thing we could do for anyone. All right, I'm gonna go use the restroom too.
Wait, is Reverend?
You give him a little nudge.
Okay. Maybe I could. All right. Holy cow. We're back. Well, we're not back for the show yet, but Greg's back.
Yeah, I heard him mentioning when you were gone. Was I on the air or something, or what's going on?
No,
Oh,
he was. It was just the break waiting for you to come up. But you'll hear us start this, but you can stay
okay.
there.
Well, I just thought I think this is really more on point.
Yeah.
Right here.
Wait, I got one. Let me go get mine.
Yeah, go get yours, man.
I hope this is the correct one. I hope this is the correct one.
Well, I don't know. I think we're color coordinated.
Oh wow, you guys, amazing!
I've got an extra one for you, but I don't think I can get it to you.
Let me see if. Hold on, I got a piece of red tape right here.
You do? This thing really tickles the schnoz.
Yeah, it's
It's an acquired taste.
it's not going to last the half hour. I'm telling you.
Oh my God, it's a tickler.
A piece of red, cut through the red
Wait,
tape.
here, try this thing on. Just try this on for size. It tickles the schnoz.
Oh wow!
People, yeah. Oh wait, people aren't going to hear this until they see it. Did it tickle?
It does, yes. I'm gonna put on some breathing tape. All right, let's get the second segment started.
Okay, you doing it?
Yep. All right, everybody. What are you saying to yourself about yourself is the title for today's show. We are very honored and delighted to have Reverend Gregory Barrett with his red nose, his bozo nose.
Your favorite bozo, folks, is on the air with us today.
That's right. That's right.
We're
How
all
are you?
bozos on this bus.
That's right. Can you tell the listeners what did Gladys Branscombe tell you that day when you were struggling mentally with something?
She said, just bozo it. And, the topic has to do with planting seeds of thoughts, and usually simpler is better. And just bozo it is something that'll cut through all kinds of mental clutter and garbage and open up that channel. Just bozo it. And it's really saying, I'm getting out of the way. I'm
Yes.
getting out of the way. Because I'm just a bozo on this bus. There's a higher power, a superpower that is moving through me, and that's what's doing the work. And I don't have to be pretending like I'm at the wheel. I'm just a bozo.
That's amazing you're saying that, because I was just telling Darrell on the break, I had such an uplift, and I just said to him, this is all just reminding me that I'm not the one who's doing it. And like the chemicalization, that I guess I would call it, that I've been experiencing is like those old thoughts going, we're the ones doing it. You're the one doing it. What are you doing? You're not listening. And then they're kind of been getting louder, and everything's been changing inside. It's been feeling a little bit uncomfortable. But when the clouds continue to keep parting, it's always like, I just keep learning again and again. That's why I'm doing it this way, because I'm not the one doing it. God's doing it. I show up and send love to others and remember who I am, and God just does amazing things. So thank you for that.
It goes along with a phrase about being willing to really adopt these new ideas as a practical way of life. The guy who mentored me would always say, Darrell, many people are too smart for this stuff, but nobody's too stupid. So don't you worry about a thing. You're going to be just fine. And it's true. I gotta get my ego, my fearful little ego, out of the way. Remind it, hey, God, you have a superpower at work here. It's been working so wonderfully in your life so far. It's not going to drop you on your butt now. Get out of the way, man.
You're just quoting Emmett Fox in The Golden Key. The Golden Key is just stopping everything else and just focusing on the superpower. That's it. And that's just bozoing it. Putting on like Gladys Branscombe said to me when I walked into her office and I was a student and there was all this stuff going on. And she said, Greg, just bozo it. Put on your bozo nose and your bozo mask and your bozo wig and just bozo it. And I did. And it just disappeared. The whole thing just disappeared. It all worked out. I thought I was so put upon.
No, I hear this is heaven. This is music to our ears.
And I want people to hear what that, or I should say, I want people to hear that I'm really hearing that. And it's such an uplifting reminder to me that these things actually disappear. Majority of the things that I think I'm supposed to be concerned with is just me meddling in something that I don't actually need to be doing. And I've learned this in my job as a teacher, and Darrell, with the help of Darrell, it's like, and my wife says, that feels too bad to be true. So if there's something motivating me and it feels bad and I got to do it now, most likely it's not mine to do at all. And if I will just step back, the whole thing will dissolve, and it's not at all what I was thinking it was. So that's such a good reminder. Thank you.
Yeah, we create all the problems in our lives, and I mean all of them. And in that situation, I was all upset about something going on. I had an assignment that was not fair, and the teacher was this and that. And she just said, Greg, just bozo it. Just bozo it. And I didn't know what she was talking about. And she said, just put on that bozo smile, that bozo mask, and that bozo nose. And anytime I get myself all caught up in overthinking, and we do believe in the power of thought, but not that kind of thought.
Right.
Yeah.
Overthinking, take one thought. And in Emmett Fox's case, it's that superpower. It's that thought of that God self, that God power. But here, it's just making it so that it's dumbed down enough that even I can figure it out.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're saying that too, because when my mind is running fast negatively, it can feel kind of like disconcerting. Like, because then if you read I might read some new thought, and it just might make my head explode even more, because that way I'm thinking about it, it almost feels like this is judging me. This is like hard. And so that's where the bozoing, a lot of times it's like, no, I'm getting too smart about it. I'm forgetting that at the basis of this is a God that is only love, is only good, is only joy, is always flowing me in the direction of my good. And that bozo in me is just the one that will relax into that long enough to see the results.
Einstein said the truth is elegant, meaning it is simple, it's basic. And if there are two ways of looking at something, and one's complicated and one is simple, the simple one is the one that's true. And the truth is already here. It's just that we've got to get out of the way. And so saying, I'm just bozoing it, means that we get out of the way and let that superpower come through and realize that, just as Emmett Fox said, there is a golden key that unlocks every door. Now, it doesn't always do what I want it to. So that's a very interesting surrender. And that throws in that next spiritual lesson there, which is realizing it is a superpower, meaning it does not operate by the same laws as my ego mind does.
Yes.
Mm.
I'm loving this.
Every time, but we got to get out of the way. There's no other answer than to surrender to that higher power, and then we'll know what to do.
You know, it's funny. Last night, my wife and I were taking a walk, and I've had a lot of time for the first time in a while. This is the first time in 20 years I haven't been teaching summer school, and so I've had the time off, and it's been great. And it's also like been a light onto the way my consciousness works, how I've been relating to my family more, my wife in particular. And I like what Reverend Ike said. It's like, when I get caught up in my false face, then I tend to start believing that other people's false faces are right. And then I try to fix mine through them. And like I'll start trying to fix, like when I'm in my flow, my main job is to encourage anyone, my wife, or Darrell, to remember who they really are, not to try to fix the problem that they're imagining they have, or because that means I'm believing that it's a problem too. So anyway, we're walking and nothing's quite feeling right. And we're both feeling kind of off. And then, finally, I just said what I was really feeling like this. I said, you know what I'm really thinking is, what the F is going on right now? Like, it was a similar bozo question and then she lit up too and goes, yeah, I feel the same way. And then I heard my intuition say, slow down, Ed. You're like trying to like push through, slow down. And I did. And then when we walked in the house, I started laughing and I was like, wait, we're already successful and things are getting better, not worse. There's been a little bit of a lull in her business, but I can tell, like, I feel that something new is coming. It's not scary. It doesn't mean, and so by bozoing down and just being like asking God, what is going on? I don't know. It feel like it opened the way for me to see like what's going on is you're both successful. What are you sitting here like trying to solve a problem? It's like from, you know what I mean? As if you guys have problems. You don't have problems. You guys are successful.
Yeah, we breathe in and we breathe out. But we think, because we're positive people, that we've got to just breathe in, because that's positive. No, there's a time to let go. And there's times where there are lulls. And those lulls are creative times. And we are not in charge of the flow. We are in the flow, but we are not in charge of the flow. You wouldn't mind if I took this off, would you?
No.
Right. You know, that's good. I like that. Keep going.
We just let it roll. We just let it flow through us. We are not in charge of it. And the more we understand that, the more that flow can work. And again, Emmett Fox, the Golden Key. It's for free online. Just Google Emmett Fox Golden Key. It's only like 5 pages, and the Unity first published it. Charles Fillmore loved it, and he put it out there. And it's all about letting go and focusing on one thing. There is a superpower, and that's it.
Yeah.
And I don't even have to say, oh, I got to formulate the right affirmation to get the result that I want. Oh my goodness. I got to think about, oh, how am I going to, and you don't have to do any of that. You just bozo it. He says you just focus on that superpower. That's it.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That's what I often think about when I'm looking for keys, for example. At some point it dawned on me, if I look for the keys as if they don't exist, I never find them. Like my mind's going, they're not here. They're not. But if I just, ever since I've started just affirming, they're here. I mean, this is very simple, but they're here. I know they haven't magically somehow, like how fear would tell me. But I think about that with what you're saying with God. It's like, if I'm looking around, but with the idea that God doesn't exist and I got to find the affirmation, it's like, why not? It's better to just come to what you're saying, which is God is here. The presence is here. I know that. I know. I may not be feeling it at this moment, but I do know that. And then from there, start feeling it. Like when I said to myself, I do know what to do. So then one thought comes, and then once we get on the vibratory, vibrating with it, everything starts to change. The light goes on. Even now, I can feel the light in my mind goes on just talking about this.
Well, it's guaranteed to keep you from failure, and it keeps me succeeding, because last week I went to an art exhibit, and at the art exhibit, there were some art, publications free for the taking, which I found out were at the galleries. They have them there. And in one of them, I was really curious because it had art that really got me excited. And in there, it said how to submit artwork to this art magazine. So right away, I thought, I know just the thing that fits of my work. And it meant finding it on my computer. But it was scanned in my computer pretty poorly. So I just put it on the back burner. I didn't even dig. I didn't even try to find it on the computer. I knew it was in there somewhere, but I did see a picture of it not too long ago and saw it wasn't really scanned sharply. So this morning, I'm getting ready. I'm doing my morning routine. And, I'm jotting down the things I read to everyone that we heard in the first half. And I said, okay, I'm going to do some sketching because I'm working on some illustrations for this book on the Great Seal, the spiritual symbolism that I wrote. So I was going to allow myself to draw, which is scary. It's one of those things I got to always overcome. I shouldn't be afraid to draw. I've been drawing forever, but it's like almost the best thing. Procrastination is fear of success. That's what I tell myself. Procrastination is nothing more than fear of success. So I pull out this pad, and it was a bigger than usual pad, but I had it on my coffee table to draw in. And I put it there 2 days ago because I found it somewhere else and said, all right, let me just throw it here. I opened the pad to draw on it, and in the pages of this pad is the original piece. I didn't have to go hunting for it. I mean, it was right there. Wow. And my mind goes, how the heck? This stuff is incredible. But mind you, I had a carefree, it was a carefree approach, like a golden key approach to letting go. I got to find that picture now. Forgetting about the obsession, just forgetting about having to find it. And I put it on the scanner, scanned it like after I did my routine and when I was ready to, prepared for the show. Did that before Ed showed up. I was like, this stuff never ceases to amaze me, ever.
Yeah, you were just saying that you had found your keys. You were giving thanks and just knowing, and boom, there it is. It just shows up, and it shows up without personal effort.
Yes.
Effort to get out of the way.
Yes.
You gotta pick up your bozo nose and put it on, but that's it. That's all the effort that you really need to do.
Do you know, or did you know Phil Pearson?
Oh yeah, real well. I grew up in the Youth of Unity in the region with him very well.
Oh, okay. Because we were talking about him, and we were saying that you and him share this
a similar spirit,
a similar spirit, and you saying that is so. That's what we love about Phil, is his wonder about how it all works out when he tells his story. So I love the fact that you said that. It just reminded me of Phil.
Yeah, Phil was the minister in Sacramento, and I lived just down the road about an hour. So yeah.
Oh wow! Because I heard the amazing story. Him tell the amazing story about how they ended up in that church,
and then how they ended up in Hawaii.
Yeah, amazing.
In Maui, yeah. He and Dorothy, yeah. I knew them well, and in those days I was a hippie, And he wasn't so sure about me because I had long hair and I was
Right.
cool. But you know, it all comes around.
Yeah.
Yes. Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. So you were saying also, we were talking about Joyce Kramer earlier. Do you have that Joyce Kramer reading that we sent you?
I sure do. Joyce Kramer. You want me to give that reading right now?
Yeah, that'd be great.
All right. I nourish my thoughts and feelings of love, harmony, power, strength, enthusiasm, and joy. My life is transformed. It only takes a little spark to start a big fire. Small sparks within your mind will work for good or ill, depending on their nature. Sparks of hate, ill will, resentment, jealousy, and other forms of negativity are the beginnings of big flames that will ultimately destroy you. These should be put out the moment you become aware of their presence within you. Instead, fan the good sparks: love, harmony, power, strength, enthusiasm, and joy into a great flame within your mind. As these godlike qualities burn brightly within, you will find that you are protected from all sorts of negativity. As an added blessing, you will find yourself cleansed, healed, and truly transformed. And in Ephesians 3:20, now to the one who is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we ask or think, according to the power that works in us. I love that. Above all that we ask or think. That's just saying, just bozo it, because it's above what you can think. It's above what you can ask.
Yes.
It's that golden key. It's that trusting in that higher power, that superpower that wants to come through, wanting to come through all the time. Your infinite self is always wanting to come through all the time. And you know, you just got to get out of the way. And sometimes it takes putting on a little red nose, and sometimes it means taking 3 deep breaths,
Yeah.
but that's what we got to do.
That's right. I was thinking when you were talking about earlier that this thing's always flowing, and I think sometimes, like, while we can't make it flow, if I want to be in control in the past, I could like stop my foot on a hose of it as a way of like feeling like I'm in control. But that's not what I want anymore. I don't want to feel that type of false sense of being in control. I want to be in the flow.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've been having a lot of opportunities to wear the bozo nose and learning. And sometimes I forget, and I try to use my old kind of freak out my way out of it. No, I can, and it's like, and then it's not long before I realize, okay, just another lesson. And, you know, because it is about continually being gentle with ourselves, because God is always loving and gentle and is not even aware of these little imaginary battles we are fighting within ourselves. It's such a wonderful, like, knowing that God is only good. As someone who was raised, I was raised Catholic, and some of the things that just, I mean, I'm so grateful for that, all of that, but I am so also grateful that I found these teachings that make it unequivocally true for me that God is only good. Because when I was a very young kid, I was like very afraid that God was condemning me and judging me, and it was carrying out in other parts of my life, you know, and so constant, like, going back and reminding myself that God is only good. It can be no other way. And it's not, these are not, we were talking earlier, these are not extreme teachings at all. These are actually, if you really go back to the principles of what Jesus taught and really reflect on those in your life, and there's no room for any other interpretation if you look to the words of Jesus.
Read that quote you sent from Emmett Fox. It just says exactly.
Yeah, and for anyone who's struggling, like, or yeah, anyone who has anything going on, and maybe once in a while you let this idea slide into your mind that somehow God sent this for me, like God sent
bad.
this trouble, God sent this thing, and like I think it's pious for me to work through it in that way. This is a good reminder from Emmett Fox from Sermon on the Mount. He said, if you think that God has sent any of your difficulties to you, for no matter how good a reason, you're giving power to your troubles, and this makes it very difficult to get rid of them.
And you know what I wrote to myself?
Yeah.
I translated that. I can stop imagining the bad. God does not do spite work.
Yeah.
God does not do spite work.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is the truth. And what we've got to do is let go into it.
Yes.
And we don't have to do a whole lot of cognitive work, mental work, intellectual work, because the intellect got us into this trouble, got us into all this mess. It's time to let that go and to just let go and trust.
Yes. 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 I'm so glad you're saying it, because I got a master's in spiritual psychology, and I learned all these tools for giving these things voices and things. And there have been times where that was super helpful for me, but now I'm at a different place where those tools have just been at times.
You graduated and got your nose.
Yeah, I graduated. Now I'm graduating into the metaphysical. And there was a moment where I've talked to Darrell about this. We went into, they did amazing healing work in this women's maximum security prison. They had a program where they'd work with the inmates, and the inmates would love it. It became the most popular program. It would give them the tools for self-forgiveness, and they shut down one of these women's facilities because
it works so well.
It works so well and I got to see these women stand up and go, you know what? My whole life I thought I was just bad and dumb, and she's like, I've never realized like I had this learning disability and how that was affecting me. And she looked like 50 years younger when she let that go, and it's so cool, and it really healed my heart. Like, this is what prisons, like a rehabilitation, like this is what it could be. And I was in charge of the music at that event, and it was so cool to be able to, we brought a whole different blend of music, funk and stuff, it was mostly black women, and we were choosing this music that you could tell was hitting in their hearts, and they were just they couldn't believe how good the music was, and it was erupting into dance parties and stuff. And at one point, and there's no disrespect to the spiritual psychology community, but one of the people facilitating it came up to me and my buddy John, who were running, and they were like, we're trying to keep them in their stuff a little longer. You don't want them, we don't want them to go this half, because the place literally erupted into a soul train dance. They had never seen anything like it. But something about that just was like, man, I'm not trying to keep anyone in it. I'm trying to get, as sooner I can blast out of the stuff, the better.
Wait, don't you think it's obvious that they've been in their stuff for already too long if they're here?
Right. That's right. That's right. So that's why I love this new thought stuff, and just the superpower is awesome. This is so great.
Well, we're coming to the close. Do you have anything else you could share with us? Well, I just want to make sure if you do a search, folks, you will not be disappointed if you're looking for something positive to listen to.
I'll put that.
Search for Gregory Barrett. There's an E at the end. Am I saying it right? I always think, yeah. So we're also going to include a link to the
I'll put a link to the talk that we just watched. That was so great.
Yes. So do you have anything else you want to share?
No, I just want to thank you. I want to thank both of you for what you're bringing to the world and bringing light, because this is the time of light, and people don't realize this, but this is the most powerful time of positive potential in history. And
thank you.
You got to go past all the appearances and know that there is that superpower that's working through everything. We just got to get out of the way.
That is exactly what we all needed to hear. Yes. Thank you. We have a story, as always. This one was when it was actually your first job at the employment agency. You were actually working there. Ed,
yes. Hold on. Let me put you're talking to the chat, and then we're going to read the story real quick.
Okay, because you may or may not remember this, and it may or may not be true, but we're going to share it anyway. Come on, Ed, you're killing us.
Sorry, buddy. Here we go.
I can't wait for this story.
All right. So, when Gregory Barrett was working his first job at an employment agency, a dog walked into the office. In perfect English, he said,
"I need a job."
Stunned, Gregory replied.
You're a talking dog. This is incredible. With a talent like that, you can easily land a job in a circus.
The dog tilted his head, confused.
The circus? What would they need with an architect? Don't judge by appearances, Gregory.
Well, we want to thank everyone for being a part of Funniest Thing with Darrell and Ed. We want to thank Reverend Gregory Barrett for joining us and enlightening us. Please subscribe, share the show with your friends, and remember, I don't need you to worry for me, 'cause I'm all right. I don't want you to tell me it's time to come home. I don't care what you say anymore. This is my life. Go ahead with your own life. Leave me alone. Woo-hoo! All right, everybody. Have a great week. Gregory, we love you. Have a great week.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
We're so happy you joined us.
Good to be here. We'll see you next.
Yes, sir.